From WSYR-TV Syracuse, now News Channel 9, Weekend at 11.
Good evening, I'm James Gaddis. Well, earlier tonight we showed you this band of snow hovering over the northern part of central New York. Right now, 5 hours later, it's still there, dumping up to a foot of snow so far in parts of Oswego County. And that snow doesn't look to be going anywhere anytime soon. Storm Team meteorologist Julie Wyden joins us now with a first look at central New York's most accurate forecast. Hi, Julia.
James.
All right, thank you, Julia. Final preparations are underway in Washington, D.C. tonight as President Barack Obama will publicly take his oath of office and deliver his inauguration address tomorrow. ABC's Brandy Hitt reports from Washington, D.C. Tomorrow, News Channel 9 will have full coverage of the inaugural events. We'll have a preview of the ceremony on the morning news. Coverage will then continue with Good Morning America and live coverage throughout the afternoon. We'll have a full wrap-up on News Channel 9 at 5 o'clock. Well, a developing story now out of Syracuse where police are investigating a homicide on the north side of the city. It happened just before 4:30 this morning on Highland Street. Officers received a 911 call for a report of shots fired. When they arrived, they found 49-year-old Angelo Jenkins shot and killed. A woman in her late 20s was also shot. She is expected to survive. Police are not releasing her name or connection to Jenkins just yet.
This wasn't a random homicide, that the house or someone inside that house was targeted during that shooting.
Police are still looking into a motive. If you have any information, call Syracuse Police at 442-5222. Also developing tonight, a 15-year-old boy is in custody charged with murder as investigators try to figure out what led him to shoot 5 people, including 3 children, in a New Mexico home. It all happened last night in a rural area southwest of Albuquerque. Investigators say each victim suffered more than 1 gunshot wound, and several guns were found at the home, one of which was a semi-automatic military-style rifle. Investigators are trying to determine who owned the guns. Detectives have not released the victims' names. A wreath-laying ceremony at the National Mall in Washington today on the eve of Martin Luther King Day. Reverend Jesse Jackson and other civil rights activists took part in the ceremony at the memorial dedicated to Dr. King, who would have turned 84 last week. Tomorrow is the national holiday in King's memory. When President Obama takes his public oath of office tomorrow, he will use a Bible that belonged to King. And for some local volunteers, tomorrow is also a day to help those in need in honor of King. The annual Day of Service Food and Clothing Drive gets underway tomorrow morning at Teamsters Local 317 on Spencer Street in Syracuse. Volunteers will be sorting and packing food and clothing donations, which they'll then distribute to local shelters and charities tomorrow afternoon. If you'd like to drop anything off, you can do so from 8 a.m. until noon. They're accepting things like coats, hats, and gloves, and perishable food. Organizers are also looking for more volunteers to sort, pack, and distribute everything. The News Channel 9 Sports, a former SU football player is headed to the Super Bowl. Arthur Jones and the Ravens defeated little brother and former Orange star Chandler Jones and the Patriots tonight. It's the Ravens' second Super Bowl appearance, setting up a matchup with the San Francisco 49ers, who beat the Atlanta Falcons this afternoon. It's the Niners' first Super Bowl appearance since 1995. We'll have highlights from both games coming up a little later on in sports. The dead girlfriend hoax involving this Notre Dame football player has been the talk of the nation. Coming up, find out who Manti Te'o will give his first on-camera interview to since news of that hoax broke. And why ABC's Barbara Walters is in the hospital tonight. That and more after your Storm Team forecast. Stay with us.
Now, Central New York's most accurate forecast.
11:13, 23 degrees right now, cold. I cannot believe this thing has just since 6 o'clock. It's been sitting there.
You know what? It's interesting because a lot of our computer models earlier were indicating that this would shift south.
From WSYR-TV, this is News Channel 9.
We've learned that veteran ABC newswoman Barbara Walters is in the hospital after falling last night at an inauguration party in Washington, D.C. ABC says Walters was at the home of Britain's ambassador to the U.S. when she fell on a step, cutting her forehead. Walters was taken to the hospital as a precaution and is said to be alert. and doing well tonight. Well, new tonight, Notre Dame linebacker Manti Te'o will be interviewed this week by Katie Couric, his first on-camera interview since news broke about his online girlfriend not being real. Te'o gave an off-camera interview with ESPN on Friday night. He said he had an online romance with a woman he never met, and in September was informed she died from leukemia. Te'o told ESPN the person suspected of being behind the hoax has apologized. He insists he was not a participant in that hoax. Te'o and his parents will appear on Couric's syndicated talk show Thursday, right here on News Channel 9.
Welcome to Sunday, January 20th.
Is set for 3:30. So again, it's going to be a 49ers Ravens Super Bowl, and the 49ers are already listed as a 5-point favorite.
And we're going to learn more about the Harbaughs than we ever thought we'd ever know in a week.
The 2-week media frenzy is going to be Harbaugh, Harbaugh, Harbaugh. So I thought I'd just throw it out there now and get it over with.
Harbaugh. Maybe the last time we hear about it, but it won't be. We're still hearing about this snow,
yeah,
this lake effect. It doesn't want to go away.
No, it's sitting pretty right over areas north of Syracuse. It hasn't moved for around 5 hours, and there's pretty good indications that it'll be right there when you wake up tomorrow morning and you start to head out to work. Kids don't have school, though, tomorrow. At least most kids don't, because it is a 3-day weekend. But maybe they'll want to play in the snow. It'll certainly be cold and snowy through the first half of the day in that portion as we head into the later part of the day. Thinking that a low-pressure system is going to start to work in, make things a little bit more scattered. We're looking at lighter snow. But the big talk of the week is going to be that lake effect and the chilly temperatures. Teens for highs through a lot of the week.
All right, it's going to be a long one. Feeling already. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next weekend.